What is up, traders, and welcome back. Today is June 26th, and here we are trading the overall equity markets. A little overview of the overall market is that we have been opening pretty strong, leading by Nvidia, breaking all-time highs alongside the overall triple Q, showing that resilience of the overall market. Some of the key factors here that we have to point out, though, before deciding to enter a trade, or if we have any open positions to kind of, take into account here, is the overall news or economic data that may come in here. So for that, we'll be going on towards the overall. Let's see if we can pull it up here. Here, the Uplift Markets newsletter. Get informed here. So, like I said, we just search up here for June 26. Absolutely free, by the way. So we had Nvidia breaking all-time highs, right? And also with Micron beating earnings, that also gives a lot of confluence here to the overall market and overall strength. That's where we're pretty much green on the day today, which is quite nice to see. Yeah, the markets have climbing, as also Trump has been eyeing a new Fed chair pick after the overall term for Jerome Powell. And Nvidia leading, like I said, with all-time highs amid AI demand and price target upgrades. Some economic data that we received today was GDP growth rate, quarter-over-quarter final. I previously stated on my previous live streams that this was going to be a very important number to kind of gauge the economic outlook, and also as well gauge if the overall Fed is looking to cut rates or not. So we can see here we got durable goods month-over-month actually came in higher, which is not bad. But the GDP growth rate, the forecast was negative 0.2. And we got negative 0.5, still negative than the previous, showing that economic slowdown. But it actually came in not too bad, right? But still shows that overall economic downside. So I believe that the Fed will start to cut rates, and seeing the economic outlook here, the economy is slowing. So we need to have those rate cuts to overall incentivize the economy as well. And I really noted that retail sales did come in lower, not only month over month, but also year over year, showing that weakness again, right? So we're seeing these leaks. We also got corporate profits, quarter over quarter final, but not really too important. We don't really like to factor those in as well too much. So here it is, right? GDP price index, quarter over quarter final. Came a little bit higher, but not really too important. Jobless claims actually came in lower, which is quite nice to see, showing that we have a resilient job market, although slower economic growth here for the quarter. We'll see the PCE number coming in tomorrow, Friday, which will give an overall better outlook, and also is a Fed's preferred inflation gauge here. So it would be a very important day tomorrow to overall understand that outlook. Well, the overall market was pretty bullish on the pre-market, right? We had the futures advancing as optimism around interest rate cuts have grown. President Trump is also reportedly close to naming a replacement for Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell after his term ending, right? And the dollar has dropped, though, to its lowest level since April 2022, while we have seen Treasury yields slipping. Now, like I said, the most important number is going to be on Friday with Friday's PCE inflation report. And it is as well the preferred inflation gauge for the Fed, and will decide whether they cut rates. I believe they will. We'll see a rate cut by the end of the year. Here, the trade of the day is obviously Nvidia, the leader in AI, basically one of the best overall chip makers here as well. And we've been really bullish on this name for quite a while. We've been making videos on our bullish case and our thesis, and price targets are still towards the upside. We previously made a video yesterday. If you guys haven't seen it, feel free to do so. It goes on a detailed analysis, technical analysis on the overall price levels for this year, what the profit overall profit target can be achieved on the name. So we have some profit targets towards 150 around this area, 200, and obviously based off the overall economic strength here that we're seeing. And we broke all-time highs, right? And Nvidia is also posing for pretty much the explosive demand in AI. It's looking to benefit from it. Obviously, we've seen AMD rising as well, slowly starting, and you see that bullishness. So it's showing, right, there's confidence in the overall AI play, and also AMD catching a little bit of market share here, but Nvidia how the overall price target increased from 175 to 250 by Loop Capital. That came in yesterday, but I still want to note that because, the firm strongly believes that surge in AI could justify a future market cap for Nvidia of 6 trillion. I totally believe that's possible, and I've been, stating that on my thesis. I firmly believe, with Nvidia now being at around 3.79 trillion right now that I'm recording this, it's almost a 4 trillion. That's really possible, and they can increase overall their revenues. We have to consider Project Stargate. They say people kind of forgot about that, but that's still going on. And then those little trade deals that the overall president kind of got for these companies when he visited Saudi Arabia. The majority of that was also now an increase in revenue for Nvidia, so I'm really liking it. And not just the fundamentals are matching, but it's well above its 50 EMA on the chart. It's well above its 200 EMA, and the technicals have been confirming the institutional accumulation and that trend strength that we really want to see on the name. And here's basically a little overview of why we're bullish on Nvidia. It's record breaking all-time highs, raised price targets by institutions, and explosive AI growth across industries, as well as above key areas of prior resistance and now acting as support, which would be the 50 EMA, the 200, and the anchored VWAP from that swing high, which is pretty much from here when the sellers came in and we saw that downward move. Obviously, we reversed the downtrend at the break of 113, right? Just gives us that confidence and major strength, and Nvidia is looking pretty bullish on the day as well. And like I said, right, the traders are watching the $150, $50, $52 level today. As long as that doesn't break, it's a bullish case for Nvidia on the day here for the day trade. The intraday targets here that we have on Nvidia are going to be 157 and 156 based off pivot points, and I'll go to the chart and break it all down right now. So as well, let's see. Yeah, so overall macro environment is kind of, being a little bit optimistic as well with thankfully decreasing geopolitical tensions. And, traders are finding their confidence in the high convictions names like AI, Nvidia, and also, we're seeing a little surge in Bitcoin. So it's kind of giving us, that risk appetite is, slowly returning towards the market. We also see, the fear and, greed index kind of declining. It was previously, pretty high. So if we look at this, fear and greed index, when we were heavily declining on the market during April to this, and now we're at greed, right? A month ago, ever since we've seen the rally in the market, it's popped up to green. We're seeing the greed. It's kind of a nice indicator to kind of look at, over here and there. I don't really take it too serious, but just shows that we are in a bullish market. We'll be seeing all these names catching up. Micron as well, really bullish on that name, and they beat on earnings yesterday, which I really liked. I really like their fundamentals here. I expect further growth for the company as well. So there's also, I remember when we were declining pretty heavy, I did an analysis of the overall performance, or technically the names that were looking good on the technical side. And during that April decline, out of the Nasdaq 100, only 4 names were bullish, and now more than half of them are bullish, right? So we've seen that transition is slowly starting to buy up the names. It's quite nice to see. Also, the VIX hasn't spiked up too much, so the volatility has decreased, which is not too bad. I hate these ads, but yeah, it's not looking too bad here, so not bad. And also, feel free to take a look at our Micron case. It's all here on the watch list, right here, our bullish case here from Micron. I'll search it up here. Our Micron case here. We posted this on June 15th. Absolutely free for you guys. All you have to do is just sign up, put your email. Absolutely free. You get it straight to your inbox, and it's also powered by AI here, right? Because we have our scanner that that finds these names before they break out, right? So in this case, we've been looking long. Yeah, pretty much ever since June 15th. We're kind of waiting for a pullback here, but here's our long setup, our reasoning behind it, the technicals, the fundamentals backing it up here on the short term, and the risk management, right? If it breaks below the $102 level, then it should be an invalidated trend. We shouldn't be looking for longs, right? So absolutely free for you guys. And also, yes, have a chart here to plot all your indicators. You can if you want to have an indicator, you can switch to candles. You can put in as many indicators you guys want. so you guys can do your analysis here while also reading the news, which I think is absolutely amazing, right? So if you want to see, for example, the 50, right, where's it at? Where the 50 is at, it's right there, right? Let's add another, EMA. With the 200. And we see that like this, and we're seeing now a bullish crossover. So see, we can analyze here the overall chart and also read the fundamental news and the bullish case. So I'm really liking this as well, absolutely free, like I said, at Uplift Markets newsletter. See, going back to the market now, Nvidia looking pretty strong, but I want to highlight here the overall triple Qs, absolutely bullish. We're closing pretty much almost 1% to the upside, and I'm really liking this intraday trend here. If we plot VWAP here, we're holding quite well above VWAP. We're above the bullish band here, which is the upper band. We actually pulled back towards VWAP. We found support, buyers came in, and now we bounced off of it. So that's really nice to see. It just gives us and shows that investors are pretty bullish on the market, and I'm liking that. I'm liking that, led by Nvidia and the majority of these Max 7 names. We found support, right? So I'm really liking this name. Let's see. So looking at the overall volume gainers for the day, we have Nvidia being number 1, obviously. So let's take a little look at that. And the stock is kind of ranging a little bit, but it's above its 50 EMA, still looking strong. It's above VWAP. It's been holding quite well. Let me just take this off. And it's kind of consolidating, maybe trying to catch some steam, trying to get some more buyers at these levels and slowly bid up. And I have price targets intraday here towards 157. Here based off the pivot point, it's possible for Nvidia, maybe after this intense move that it had yesterday, maybe needs a time to catch up, kind of digest the move. Maybe consolidate here through price, or in this case through time, right? Because we're not seeing a pretty heavy pullback, but we're just seeing that momentum, kind of, fade a little bit, right? And it's justifiable. It can't just breaking all-time highs the whole time, right? Just going up. We need some rest as well, so we catch some more demand at these lower levels. Looking at another name here is CYN. Here, and this name, absolute terror on the day. Now it's pulling back, and it's been halted around more than 4 or 5 times. These names are really bullish. I really don't like trading them on the intraday because they're most likely to catch people off guard when they halt, and there's many reasons as to why this may halt, due to the fast increase in price also, and there's also that halt based on volatility, and I think those are the most dangerous ones. We've been, pretty liquidated on some other ones that we previously played overall. If we look at this, the 30, looking bullish. It's above its 50. It's quite surprising how it went from a $4 stock all the way to $40. But now the sellers are coming in, and it's obviously some profit taking, right? To intraday mover. So we have VWAP here, right? We opened, kind of tested VWAP. We kind of fell below VWAP for a while, and institutions came in, they bought it here at the overall discount, which is quite nice. And we saw that nice bid up. So if we kind of zoom this in, we formed this high. So at the break of this high, it could have been the long right there, the break and close of $22. And honestly, the only way you can kind of gauge where this where the stock can go, because pivot points are not reliable, they're like down here, so it's pretty much a blue sky setup. All you have to do is go to the daily chart and see prior areas of resistance. So kind of got to zoom out, and this is the next area of resistance, and that's where we pretty much rejected. You guys can see that I'm not lying. These levels actually come into play on the intraday. As you guys can see, we are, let me go back to the 5-minute, right? We pretty much came close to that level. Remember, a level of resistance or support doesn't have to be exact. It's just an area or a zone where we may find that supply, and that's what we found it around this $42 area, because it was based off a previous high. So factoring that in, we would have our entry here and factor that $40 move, right? And it was pretty bullish, and it's still above VWAP, but it's pulling back. So we'd like to see maybe if it does have that extra leg in it, maybe find some support here and bounce at VWAP. If it doesn't, then it's all right. The name's still moving. It's still bullish on the day, but something that I really note here is that generally these names that they bid up pretty strong, they tend to just bid strong between the open all the way until like lunchtime, and they generally tend to give the profit back. And once they come to an area like VWAP, they have a very hard time holding, or they just consolidate throughout the rest of the day because the move already happened, right? So it's unlikely that we'll find buyers, but we'll have to see if this level does actually hold and defend here on CYN, one of the biggest movers, second on the volume here on the NASDAQ. The next name here is ASTI, the ticker. Never heard about these names. Ascent Solar Technologies, and it's been an absolute monster now. So we opened, we went down below, but here's what I want to note. It's very important you guys realize this. We've been above the 50 EMA, and what that means is that underlying buyers have been in the name. They're just, they were waiting, right? So we had a downward trend. You could have been, oh, I'm looking short, but the trend towards the downside was immediately reversed, right? And we also saw that the overall downtrend didn't last a long time, right? And what that means is that the buyers, like I said, when the price action is above, we tend to give the benefit of the doubt towards those buyers because they are underlying, kind of hiding, basically hidden buyers at around this zone. Doesn't have precisely have to touch the 50, as long as the overall 50 EMA, the slope is increasing over time. So you just kind of you can measure it, annotate it, or have some type of algorithm that keeps track of the slope, easily programmable. You see it rise over time, and you see the price action rise as well, then you're in a very strong trend. And if you have declining price but rising slope, then it shows you have a divergence, and that also can propel the stock towards the upside. So it's very important to factor that in here. Another name is also listed. Like I said, this one's always been popping, but I don't know. I don't really like trading this name. It's not liquid enough, so I just ignore it. Another name was Alt, ticker ALT. What is this? Altimmune Inc. Health Technology, a biotech stock. Quite heavily declined. Probably a failed. Let's see what the news came in. Let's see. Oh, okay. So it says Altimmune, yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Shares fell nearly 60% after mid-stage trial results for its obesity drug Premdude showed no major improvement in liver scarring. Okay, that makes sense now. So it's been pretty heavily shorted, and you see this. So we had a nice uptrend, right, little at the beginning of the day. But as long as we remain below the 50, like I said, the trend didn't last long, and now it's declined, and it's been kind of consolidating between VWAP and this pretty much the VWAP band. So it's showing not a lot of buyers here. Look at that. Let's see, bullish. Looking now at Tesla, coming in at number, let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 in volume. Yeah, pretty rangy. I have decided to not trade Tesla, as there's a lot of mix up between the time frames. The daily is looking kind of bullish, but the 30 and hour, there's inconsistency between the time frames, and we don't like that. We don't like to have inconsistency, and compared to Nvidia, where the majority of them are bullish, right? We're above the 50 EMA 200. So seeing that overall multi-time frame confluence, or matching, is very important to see on these tickers. And and Tesla has been nothing but a mess, except for that day where it had that very strong bid. I believe it was Monday, and yesterday pretty sold off pretty heavy. You guys can see that. When was that big move? Yeah, Monday had a nice strong move on after the robotaxi hype, and actually it's kind of giving it all back now. Yeah, it gave it all back. So I guess people didn't really like the robotaxi. I don't know, I saw some videos. Overall, it was pretty surprising, quite outstanding. But there was one part of the video where the overall robotaxi kind of freaked out, kind of was trying to, I think it was trying to turn left, but I think something went wrong with the logic. I'm not too sure. and it was trying to turn left, even put the signal to turn left, but at the midway trying to turn left, it actually like kind of like tweaking. It was kind of teeter-totting like this, like the steering wheel, and then it just continued straight, and it completely didn't merge or anything like that. It would try to merge to the next lane, and it didn't, which kind of not bad. Obviously that was an error, but other than that, it was pretty well performing. But we want to consider that it's pretty new. You have to also consider that how do you say it? They also want to when you're testing something out, you always want to consider what can go wrong, and we always try to do feedback on what went wrong, not just what went good. Like, oh, it worked, right? We want to actually get stuff to not work, so we know what to fix and actually get right for the next time. So I think Tesla is going to consider that after that little error. Surprisingly didn't go viral at all on TikTok. I'm surprised, but I don't know, we'll see. SMCI, very bullish on this name. I actually have a little bit of a position here with some calls. I've been looking long this name ever since we broke above this swing high anchored VWAP here, this red VWAP, this break, and close above $44. Kind of prompted me to buy the name. If you look at the 30, and the majority of the time frames are long to the bullish side, so we were kind of declining. So we plotted a swing high here, same thing as this high. Plot that as soon as we got above here, so same thing, above and close. Was our signal to go long, and we recuperated above the 50 EMA. So shows us that buyers were intense, and it's looking quite nice actually here on SMCI. If we kind of zoom out here, let's say an hourly chart, and look for next areas of resistance, maybe now on a daily because it's too far. On a daily, the next area of resistance would be this overall longer term swing high anchor VWAP would be at a 54, but it does have room to go all the way there. If it does go above, maybe we expect some resistance towards $66, but SMCI is kind of being bid up due to the strong moves that we've been seeing in Nvidia and overall AMD and overall chips space, and AI here. So I do believe this has more upside here. This could be potentially a swing trade, as a lot of indicators here signaling me as also as with the momentum bullish. So I'm looking to possibly have price targets here of towards $54, and if it does break above that, towards $66, and that would be kind of like be a little bit overextended. We expect a pullback, and what I mean by that is that okay, we're seeing this kind of accumulation zone, right? We've been trying to go below the 50, but we're holding above quite well, and we're kind of breaking above this accumulation zone, and the next area of resistance is here. So I'm expecting over the next couple of days or even weeks here on SMCI to remain bullish unless we have some very negative news, and bid up overall towards that. Obviously I'm not saying that within these candles, but kind of just imagine the candles being just following this movement, right? So we kind of find some resistance here, and what I would expect here is probably see some maybe pullback, some decline a little bit, find some more buyers, allow the 50 EMA to catch up to the price action here, like that, oh shoot, like that, test it, find buyers like that, some type of wick that captures that liquidity, more buyers, and slowly starts to bid up, right? I would like to see that, and obviously the next I'm not saying this big candle, but just kind of with the flow here, it would reach that 65 over some days, right? That's what we would like to see, some future price movement here on SMCI, which is pretty possible. It's quite doable here. So I'm really liking this name on a longer term aspect, and on the day it's quite strong, above the 50, above key indicators of resistance, above VWAP. Beautiful. Palantir on the day, actually it was close to breaking all-time highs, but again it came against same movement as yesterday, opened up strong and just gave it all back, and we found support at the 50. Quite interesting, right? Kind of also matched this prior area high here, this right there. So double confluence zone, but it was pretty interesting to see that it held the 50, right? So Like I said, when it comes to a weak name, but the overall price action is still above the 50 MA, we tend to try to be long as much as we possibly can. We can go short here obviously, but you're not going to see the full downward move maybe towards these lows of 141, right? You're going to see buyers pick up because there's the buyers they're hidden, and with such weakness we expected this to catch at the 50 MA compared to the other names where it bounces before touching the 50 MA. Like I said, it's the general area, general kind of ribbon where it tends to find those secret buyers. So really kind of flat on the name. It's still above the 50, so we'll say it's relatively strong, right? It's not downtrending, right? So we'll tend to give it the benefit of the doubt here on Palantir, which is bullish name, looking good on the overall daily chart as well. Micron beat the earnings. I don't know why it gave it all back. Let's see if let's include some post-market data here, extended trading hours, and let's put this a little bit less. Let's see so you guys can see this a little bit. Let's decrease the opacity. It's too bright. Let's see, right there. Okay, so the blue is the post-market and the yellow is the pre-market. Kind of signifies yellow, the sun comes out, and stuff like that, right? Day and nighttime, right? So we beat earnings, strong bid towards 135, and we gave it back, and simply if you plot a swing anchored VWAP, it was kind of signaling that today was going to be a short because we fell below it as we found the resistance, that trend continuation toward the downside, and we broke the pre-market low right here. So it was an obvious short once that happened, once this candle came in effect, short and to the short side, right? Sometimes we forget to consider other types of, pretty much when we're day trading we tend to ignore the prior trends and try to trade intraday trends, but we ought to kind of zoom out and factor in what the stock has done before, right? How's it looking on the longer time frame, or how's it looking structurally, right? If it's an uptrend, okay, we should be looking long, not just intraday, right? So very important to note here, and we actually found that resistance here at the open. Actually, we couldn't get above 130. It's at a key level. We didn't get above that. We just fell. So, and also fell below and opened below the pre-market low, which was pretty much to me a simple short, but we were trading Nvidia at that time. So, and also below the 50 MA. So really important to take into account. And let's see, SoFi coming in. This name has been on a tear. On the daily, it's bullish, absolutely immense. We broke above the pre-market high, which kind of maybe helped us here to go long. Actually almost came back and held support there, and it bid up, very strong bid, had to pull back, found some buyers here. It's propulsing towards the upside, and looking at the majority of time frames, it's looking bullish, right? We zoom out, and it's been doing nothing but an upside trend. It's been holding the 50 MA quite nice here. Yeah, really bullish on this name. On the daily, I've been calling this name, let's see, yeah, I went above the swing high anchored VWAP, so that was along there around 14, and next area of resistance is a $17 level, and I believe firmly that it has more legs to go. It can firmly challenge the all-time highs here on SoFi, and the reason that I believe that on SoFi is because I believe that the Fed will cut rates due to the slower GDP coming in, that GDP contraction, like I said, and they have to kind of incentivize the economy, and that's being priced in basically on these SoFi names, these interest rate type of names here, and overall I believe that they're buying the news, and once overall the Fed cut does come in, we'll see a sell, some profit taking, but we're getting bought up ahead of the news, right, which is quite nice to see. And doing an analysis on this name, the next obviously price target or area of resistance that we have is $17, and we can even challenge the highs, but using Fibonacci's and the majority of the upside projections, we give a $24 price target here on SoFi. If we continue seeing this bullish momentum and we get a Fed cut, maybe we'll see some pullback but overall price target towards $24. And we previously saw that obviously on Palantir, right? We zoom out, let's say here, right? We stated on our last video, I think we posted it 2 months ago, I'm not quite sure actually, and we were actually around here, around $95, and I was really bullish on this thing because of the fundamentals and technicals, slowly starting to catch up, and our AI also detected it, and we said, all right, if it breaks above around here $98 and it's a long, and our price target, our first price target was 160. At that time, it might have seemed crazy, but we're not so far off from that price target, and I believe Palantir has more room to go, right? Actually, if we pull up the video, I think we can kind of want to dissect and let's see, kind of analyze here the name a little bit deeper, and kind of evaluate that overall thesis that we had. Let's see, go to videos.
What if you could run every stock?
Okay, let's see. So we're pulling it up right now. Let's see. Boom. All right. Let's kind of digest what we said. I think this was posted on 2 months ago. We posted that the beginning of that, and it was April 16th. So when tariffs were pretty much looming, we saw that. So let's kind of digest the price action here. Let me take the headphones off here so you guys can hear. Let's see.
Talk to NASDAQ through an AI engine and ask it which one is about to move.
See, we go towards here. Okay, there it is.
Areas of support here, which were the $63 level.
Yeah, excuse my voice, guys. I was a little bit sick during that time. That's why maybe it sound a little bit deeper. So just kind of ignore that right now. Let's see.
And the $72 level out there. Something to note is that we are above the 58 minute, showing buyer exuberance, and that they are in control of the trend right now.
Something I also want to note here is that we also factored in, the options flow, and the overall calls were more than the puts. We had that, I believe, the put to call ratio being really intense, and we only saw resistance upwards towards, I think, September, October. We're not too far from those dates, but it kind of factored that in that, institutions were seeing the bullishness all the way towards the dates of September or even October. So I kind of want to note that here. See if we have that time frame. Yeah. So here.
Getting the average price in which the shorts enter the name, we are above it, showing that they are collectively, on average, losing money. And this is a bullish sign, as this will make them most likely to cover throughout this week. And that would be to go to the upside.
Let's see. So yeah, that was kind of like, we wanted to see that momentum movement. We kind of plotted what the price action might have looked like, and that's what we saw pretty much on the name. We kind of, let's see.
This is.
Let's skip some parts. There are our price targets, right?
Upside. So off from this high towards low, and before we get overextended. Price target.
We had our first price target at the break of the highs, right? And we're well above that right now. And the next price target, obviously, towards that level.
Towards 160. Obviously, this all depends on overall macro conditions of the market and the news. But this stock is setting up extremely well and is more bullish than the entire NASDAQ. You don't believe me? Well, let's look at the NASDAQ on daily chart.
Yeah, see, compare, we were seeing relative strength on the NASDAQ. I mean, on Palantir, but the NASDAQ was weak, right? And still, we saw heavy decline on the NASDAQ, but Palantir still had, held pretty strong. The decline wasn't too heavy towards the downside. Let's see, so that's what I really liked. And overall, yeah. So that was our thesis around 2 months ago, and now Palantir is above the roof, breaking all-time highs here. and going towards our first price target. So it's quite nice to see that momentum. Let's see, same thing here on let's see, Palantir. Okay, Micron on the day. On the daily, it's really bullish. It beat the earnings, but it's kind of pulling back now, and like I said, giving back the majority of that. Let's see, so it was SoFi pretty strong. Really, look at that bid. Broke above the pre-market high and actually came back and tested that level here on the overall intraday. Let's see. Yeah, so now it was acting as a level of support. It's quite nice to see that. Seems also been popping up here. Let's see. Warner Bros. Yeah, above the 50, like really strong trends, right? Like very amazing to see this price action, and giving it that intense move. It's actually forming confluence here. So if there's ever a pullback, and we actually saw this here on, let's see, Micron. Let's see, for example, we pulled back and we found that confluence zone right there. Which, what I mean by that is that the 50 was matching. It was, pretty close with the overall VWAP. So that was a double confirmation that it, kind of signaled to us that it was an intense or strong movement that the buyers could have, pretty much bought the name. And that's what happened. We pulled back and we had that bid towards the upside. So it was a really nice name to go long here, and pretty much a nice level with the stop loss at the most recent and relevant low right here, or you can even do the day lows, depending obviously on your risk appetite, right? So quite bullish name. I'm really not bad. Liking that name. Let's see, AMD volume not too heavy, so it's actually towards here the lows, but kind of accumulating. Has a little decline, but now it's between this band, right? It's below the 50, but compared to the big move that it's had, over the past couple of days, and obviously we can plot the swing high. Like I said, just factor in the previous day's action. Put that swing high, and that's been the level of resistance that we've been seeing. You go up, resist, up, resist, up. We actually broke above it, so kind of a little bit cautious here, but that's what gave us the overall confirmation that we wanted to see here on the name. Let's see, it looks like we kind of froze there. But yeah, I'm really bullish there on here on AMD. Interesting. Let's see. Let's see. Not bad. There we go. Let's say we had some trouble with the display. That was quite weird. A little bit odd, but now we're back here. Let's see. So yeah, really bullish on the overall market. Let's see. We were on Intel, just breaking these names down, kind of flat on the day, not too bad. The VWAP session, actually we're looking on this on a daily, so we should be looking on a 5-minute or even a 15-minute, let's see, 10-minute chart. Let's see, yeah, you could say relatively, there's a relative strength here. It's above its 50 EMA and the majority here of the indicators. But something I want to note here is that it's kind of ranging, right? But we can say underlying, it is pretty strong. Let's see, another name that's been pretty strong here has been, let's see, and Rocket Lab. Look at this name. Pulled back towards VWAP, failed it, but now we're seeing that bounce actually towards the low here of this VWAP band. You know, just gave us a little bit more of, you know, confidence and you know, certainty here in the name, as well as we're above the 50 MA. So we should, like I said, give the benefit of the doubt towards those buyers because they are present, right? And there was a downward trend. It was very short-lived. Could have been, you know, shorted, you know, but why go against the trend? If it's telling you that buyers are there, why go against those buyers that are dominating the trend, right? You're pretty much asking for a overall, you know, profit loss here at this point, right? If you don't want to catch a falling knife, you know, as they say. Let's see, last name here, Novartis. I mean, Navitas always pulls up, but pretty weak on the day. Marvell, this name is looking really good on the daily, and I actually have to, you know, most likely do a more of a deeper analysis, and I'll probably update you guys on a video further on, and I'll post that on the Uplift Markets newsletter. We'll give a little bit more detailed. It's looking really bullish on the daily, and I don't know, I'm really considering this name. I really like this name here, Marvell. I'm liking what they're doing as well, their fundamentals, and it's like the overall here price action is starting to meet up with those fundamentals, just like Nvidia and Micron. So I'm liking that there. Let's see, Apple on the day, pretty weak. This is the weakest Mac 7. It can't even get above 200. Weakest name ever. We got Raya. We don't really care about that. So let's get a little let's see, a little bit of a overall look at the sectors I've been controlling the names here. So looking at, for example, the overall heat map here. Pull this up. So we see here, okay, let's take this off. So we have with the majority of the Mac 7 almost up, led here by Meta here on the technology services. Microsoft pretty much flat, Google up on the day, Oracle not too bad actually, Netflix leading the day up 1.62%. Now we have here for, oh shit, let me zoom out. We have electronic technology here with Nvidia leading on the way. AVGO amazingly on the upside as well here, Broadcom. Pretty strong on the overall market, though there's not really anything weak. I'd say most likely, let's see, finance is pretty strong with JP Morgan breaking all-time highs, I believe. Health technology kind of flattish. Lilly, kind of flat. It's been, this sector's been really heavily, you know, shorted. It's been, you know, kind of under, you know, been not too favored here on the day. We have consumer non-durables. Let's see, not too bad. Yeah, energy minerals pretty strong, led by Exxon Mobil. That name also as well looking pretty good on the daily. Everything that, you know, with energy, it's looking pretty good actually. Retail trade pretty strong, led by Amazon up a little bit, almost 2% on the day. And producer manufacturing here, led by overall Caterpillar. A little bit of GE Vernova, quite nice to see. And overall the market, yeah, pretty bullish. I'm liking it overall. Let's see, so looking at, let's see if we have any news that may impact the markets. I want to check that out just before we kind of move on here. Let's see, so GDP did come in lower. That GDP contraction came in lower, which is quite nice to see. Let's see. Let's see if we get any other type of news here on the blotter. Yeah, oh, and feel free to as well to subscribe to the channel. We upload videos every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we go live every single day here. The market's digesting overall moves. You guys have a ticker you guys would like us to review, you can freely drop it in the comment section, or even in the live chat here when we do our lives, or on any other of our videos. Just leave a comment, and you know, give us a ticker that you guys want us to analyze, and future price targets, and we'll give it to you guys, right? And also a deeper analysis of the overall equity you guys are looking. So feel free to do that. Let's see, looking at the news here, we're not seeing too much, honestly. It's not too much. Let's see if we zoom this out. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, we're actually not getting too bad news, actually. Okay, so let's see. The overall triple Qs, I think it's still remaining strong. I think maybe there's a pullback. Yeah, starting to see a little bit of a pullback here on the overall NASDAQ. Yeah, a little bit of curl. We've had that very nice support there at the overall VWAP, and it was forming confluence again, like I said with the 50. It sounds like I'm a broken record saying this over and over again, but seeing that strength, or having two indicators, regardless of any indicator you use, having two indicators that match, a support level and area in general, just adds more confidence to the trade, and to that level makes it really important, because if you're looking at it, right, think of it like this: if you're looking at a level and there's certain indicators that meet up like that, most likely other traders are also looking at that level. So it's pretty much a prophecy, when it happens. It takes that action. They defend the levels, most likely, right? They come in with the bid, and the demand is just added overall, beats the supply. And that's what we want to see on the names. Nvidia on the day, pretty consolidative. It's had some trouble breaking the pre-market high. Like, for example, compared to yesterday, where it did break that pre-market high at 150, right? The 150 break was along yesterday on Nvidia, and we also found support there. I mean, we didn't even go below the pre-market low here, actually. Quite well to see that, but now I see this on the day. It's quite strong, right? The 50 EMA. Let's see, on the 10, we're actually kind of, wicking between it, etc. But we kind of had some trouble getting above the pre-market high, 157. We would have liked to see that, and if we would have had that, it would have allowed the stock to, get towards the $158 level, right? But we're not really seeing that so far. Although I am liking a little bit of the underlying strength, and maybe Nvidia needs a time, to catch up, kind of digest the very strong moves that it's been having. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm really liking this name. Let's see, CYN. Okay, I actually found support at VWAP. Look at that. Look at this name. It's not bad. I actually found support. Who knows? Maybe it may be ready for another run. Looks like it's halted right now. Actually, saw it was halted, and then it declined. It opened at let's see, open at around $19. That's damn. Gave almost half of it back. Wow. I mean, also the pre-market was kind of moving up, and the pre-market high was broken, and also acted as a area here of support. We broke above it, opened right, pulled back, nice wick, bringing the price action up. So also signified some momentum. It could have been long earlier there on the name. So quite nice to see that momentum hold. So yeah, the majority of the market is quite strong here. Let's see if we kind of look at the Mag 7. Let's take a little look here on Google. On Google, my favorite goggles here. Strong on the day. It's nice to see it kind of catch a break after the intense selling that it's been seeing. It's above the 50 EMA, kind of finding some resistance exactly at this pivot point, but found support at this pivot point earlier on the day, and saw a nice bounce. Now finding some resistance, so I probably give it, it's kind of trading a little bit of a area, maybe some range here on the overall name, but quite strong, not bad. Let's look at Meta. Okay, really bullish name, broke above the pre-market high. It's been along ever since it did that. Boom, gives us that certainty, here on the overall market. It's above its 50 EMA and above the VWAP. Came back and tested it actually around here, 718, and been moving up, kind of finding a little bit of resistance here, having a hard time getting above that R3 $726 intraday price target, but you know what can we expect, right? It's been a very nice trend, very bullish name also as well on the daily. Let's see, check out the softy, the soft one. Okay, pulled back, but look at it again, right? You may have been blinded. Oh, I'm gonna go short, right? It's below VWAP, but look, you find buyers at the 50 EMA, this yellow line. What am I telling you guys? And also the pre-market low around there, right? So when levels have confluence, right? You have a 50 EMA matching kind of with the pre-market low, right? You maybe shouldn't, or think twice, you know, before going short, right? Maybe that could have been the long entry there, right there. It's maybe starting to curl, and you may target towards 496 on the soft one, but I'm really liking how soft he's looking on the daily, honestly. Looking at Amazon, it's been one of the strong ones here on the retail trade. Amazing stock, moving towards the upside, defending quite strongly the $200 level on the daily. And let's see, it's been kind of, you know, I don't know, this claiming is pretty dumb. I'm pretty certain, I'm really confident in AWS. I believe Amazon's been heavily invested in it, and they're doing pretty good. Here they're trying to, you know, catch up, because they know that's the future of the business, right? It can't always just be, you know, logistics and delivery, right? They have a lot of, you know, kind of, it's a moat around it, but you know, they know that the future here is AI, you know, and AWS is their heavy top priority. Even though the revenue is kind of, you know, within that sector or area of the company isn't right now, it's kind of fluctuating, you know. It's been profitable for quite a while, you know. Why doubt it? As long as, you know, that area keeps, you know, increasing the revenue, that area of the business, and you know, it's profitable, you know, why not give Amazon a chance at showing that growth, right? So you always have to consider as well, it's going against I think Azure on Microsoft. You gotta, you know, have to consider that as well. But on the day, quite strong, broke the pre-market high, and actually came back and tested it. Quite nice to see that, right? Also from this low, yeah, it was pretty nice to see it catch a break, right? It was sold quite heavy yesterday. We saw nothing but downside below the 50 MA. But now it's reversed that move. I'm liking that. They're on the Amazon. What other name is there? Nvidia, AMD, Netflix, also part of the Max 7. Yeah, it's exactly your mirror chart. It's like an exact copy of Amazon. Strong on the day. Let's see, Netflix Q1 revenue. Okay, now let's just sum up. We were looking really bullish on this name even before it broke out. I think we were really bullish on, I think it was Netflix, yeah, at $800. And we had a price target towards $1,200, and now we're at that price target, right? So these levels match, and they form that confluence. And you know, feel free to watch that video on my channel. We have a deeper analysis, and you guys can kind of look back and how the trade played out. And also the IBIT trade, the Bitcoin trade. Quite interesting. I really like that trade as well. One of my best overall in the year, honestly. The IBIT trade with options, the best trade of my year so far. So far of 2025. We still got a long ways to go. We still got like 6 months, right? But that was absolutely amazing. I really liked the way that moved, and the overall price appreciation, the volume behind the move, the options flow, and the put to call ratio app. Everything was just matching. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. And it's possible that can happen again here, you know, with, you know, Bitcoin kind of within a range, and you're holding above the 50 EMA, having that support area at 100,000. Quite nice to see that there. Let's see. Yeah, not bad. Let's see. And I think that's the majority of them. Unless you guys have any other tickers, you guys can drop them in the comment section. I'd be happy to review them for you as well, and you know, we can upload them. And who knows, you know, they'll probably be on the Uplift Markets newsletter. You know, you can just check it out and be right there, right? So I think today we'll leave it at that for today. Hope you guys have a wonderful day and a nice trading day. And you know, as always, a quick reminder: subscribe to the channel. Right, we post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the most recent one being yesterday, with Nvidia. And we have a really bullish thesis on that name with the $6 trillion valuation. We get a little bit deeper on that and the future price targets that we have for Nvidia. So, stay tuned, and also for tomorrow on the video at 1 p.m. And other than that, stay uplifted. Don't let the markets whip you guys out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on the live stream. Other than that, take care.